Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. I'm back doing another episode of Where Are They Now? And for those of you who hadn't heard the first episodes of these series, I will recap. As you know, I coach a lot of people. And of course, you've heard me coaching people live on this podcast with my Coaching with Kimmy episodes. I also have a ton of clients who I send off into the world after coaching with them. And it's just so amazing and special to me and rewarding when I hear countless success stories and read thousands of emails of previous clients updating me on how their life has improved and often how they find love. So I do these Where Are They Now episodes to inspire and motivate you by hearing what happens to people after I work with them, and whether that is on a podcast or working with them over time as clients. And I hope you listen to these and get inspired by people's successes and know that success can happen to you too. And it comes in all different sizes, shapes, and forms. So success isn't just about landing that guy, landing that gal. And it all starts with a call. So today I'm bringing on an amazing guy I met through a workshop. He attended it. It was a few months ago now that I think about it. And he decided to hop on a free call that I offered and just to explore the idea of how he could get back out there after his divorce. And he decided after that phone call to invest in coaching with me because he realized he needed some direction finding out who he was, what he wanted, and what was blocking him from moving forward in his dating life. And he discovered that he lacked confidence and felt uncertain in this part of his life. And what was really hard for him, and you'll see and hear, this guy's confident, all right? There's nothing wrong with his confidence. And he considered himself a pretty confident guy. He had a lot of friends. He's very social. He's fun. But for some reason, he found himself with a lot of self-doubt, uncertainty, and feelings with low self-esteem when it came to this part of his life. And he knew that there were some deeper issues also to explore that he needed help with, even learning how to date post-divorce. And some of the things he discovered as we were just chatting that day is that he led with just having fun, and that a lot of his relationships ended up a little more superficial, not as emotionally connected. He didn't know where to go to meet women other than one site that he had been trying. There were also some fears around rejection. And after doing a ton of reflection and work on himself, he started finding his mojo. Oh, and let me tell you, he found it and his confidence. He started dating up a storm, approaching women, and practiced being more emotionally open with them. And through our work together, he discovered he was getting into relationships just too fast. And he kept leading with what he could do for women versus really paying attention and expressing feelings to build an emotional connection so that women could earn him more. And he is now finding himself feeling more relaxed, making deeper connections, including this new woman he has been dating in his life. But I'll let him share the rest of this story. Welcome, Taylor. Are you there?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my God. Well, it is so special to have you on. And I love having the success that you've experienced really expressed here, because a lot of times people feel like, well, if you don't land, your next partner or your next date, you really weren't successful. And I think what's inspiring about your story is that you've had a lot of mini successes that added up to where you are now, but overall just feeling that confident person that you were striving for. So anyway, thanks for coming on. I'd love for you to just share a little bit about you, just who you are and where you were in the dating journey, before we even met.
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years this year. And kind of like what you said, I feel like I'm a pretty confident guy overall. But I had recently, well, I guess at that point it wasn't recent anymore, but I had gotten out of my marriage with a divorce about 18 months ago. And I just wasn't sure of myself. The whole dating scene had changed from when I had dated about 14 years ago. So everything's different, right? And I come into this world like, what the heck is happening? Who knows about this? What is going on? And like you said, we met on a workshop, and ultimately I'm like, she's the one. Kimmy is the one that I think can really help me based on her skill set and what I'm looking for. And like you had mentioned, I really was struggling with confidence. I just, going through the divorce process and kind of living through that and trying to figure out my bearings after the fact and wondering, like, what is out there? Is this even right for me? And just being able to kind of get the guidance that I needed is what you really brought to the table. But the confidence piece for me was the number one thing, which is weird. Like you had said, I've been self-employed. I'm in sales and marketing and all the stuff that I do for my business, and I crush it. But when it came to this one piece of my life, I just was like completely lost.
It's almost harder, right? Because it's like, and I hear this from a lot of clients who are high achievers and successful. It's like, every part of my life is cool, right? Like I've cracked the code and I'm a super confident person. But when it comes to this part, it wasn't feeling that way. And it actually is even worse when you're really confident over here in one area and then you're not.
Yeah.
There's that big gap that I think leaves people just feeling out of sorts. And so I would love for you to describe, like, and I don't even know if you can remember that guy, before I met you and you picked up that phone, like, what was life like? Like, what were you doing? What was your dating life looking like?
Yeah, kind of like what you had mentioned. I was definitely on the wrong site. And it was very
Yeah.
discouraging because I was like, what is going on here? People that didn't really match me age wise or otherwise. And I just was really discouraged. I was almost like, I wonder now, like, I know why nobody likes online dating and why most people hate it, right? Like, this is what I was feeling. I was discouraged. I was unhappy. I was uncertain and like kind of sad almost like, will I ever find anybody? And all the thoughts that go through my mind in regards to this isn't working. I don't like it. And I don't really even want to do this. But I knew, like you had said, is I'm very successful in a lot of other areas of my life. And I was like, well, I can't be single for the rest of my life. So I have to
Well,
figure
you
out
could
this
be, but
one
you don't want
piece.
to be, right? Yeah.
That's right. For me,
Yeah.
I can't. But I had to figure this out. And I knew that I had to, and I just didn't really know where to start.
Yeah. You know what's made me smile as you were saying that? Because you said so many feeling words just now. I was like, yes, because that was one of the things we worked on, right? Like, is
Right.
becoming more expressive in the way that you think and feel. Because that was one thing that I remember is just how much you were leading with, kind of just more the fun guy and leading
Yeah.
with activity and
Mhm.
just the facts and just kind of keeping things at the surface and light. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I remember after our first session, you're like, how do you feel? And I, of course, answered like a high achiever does, right? Well, I feel like I have a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things on my plate. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get that
Right.
done. And we're talking about this. And you go, you didn't I didn't ask you what you're going to do. I asked you how you felt, and you didn't answer with a single feeling word. And I'm like, oh. And then you said, I'm gonna ask you that question again, and you did. And then I kind of responded like, I'm overwhelmed, and this is how I feel about it. So you're right. I've learned one of the things that I've learned is being able to connect more emotionally with feeling words and telling the other person that I'm dating, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or I'm feeling this, and really leading with emotion versus with the facts. And I'm really good about leading with the facts because I've been self-employed, own my own business, and it's easy for me to speak that language because I've been doing it so long. But I had to really change that. And you helped me do that after you reviewed my initial profile. You're like, okay, so there's some things we're going to work on here. And you're really nice about it, but also direct in regards to what we had to change. And it was like, instead of being just factual,
Mhm.
which I think there's a time and place for that. It
Yeah.
was more, we're gonna switch this up to more of a long format of this is who you are based on telling the story with emotions. So
No, that was huge. And I think, and it's always this way, right? Things unravel as we were working together. And sometimes
um,
when you think you need help in something, it's simpler in your mind. It's like, well, I just need help dating. I don't know where to go, and that, but I think what we discovered together is that there were a lot more layers to that, right? And I remember you talking about that even some of the people that you did encounter, your past relationships, you realized also that your relationships weren't emotionally deep
yes,
as much.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the missing piece is, I want to be emotionally intimate and connected with my new partner. And I really want from her that same thing. And I think it's really hard if both people aren't coming to the table emotionally to get that. And so
Yeah.
that was something that I definitely needed to address and am working on changing.
Yeah. It was so awesome. Like, so okay, let's get into like when we were working together. You mentioned the profile because I do remember that was like the first thing we tackled. And do
Yeah.
you want do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we did together that really helped you and like some aha moments?
As far as the profile itself.
Well, that and just like us working together, like overall, like some things that we did together where you're like, yeah, that is something that really helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, the profile, right? Just you get one shot when you're online dating and people are swiping through there. You have to have a profile that is captivating. That's the first thing. The second thing is you're like, we're gonna have to change some of these pictures. And I had a lot of selfies and things like that. And so I changed my pictures and we changed the site that I was on, and it made all the difference. Like it went from really not interested in anybody that I was kind of like matching with to wow, this is fun. Like this is really, it's working. And so like the results of the actions that I took were that I got more dates with better people, like as far as connections and who they are and our similarities and the things we had in common. But also, really some of the work that we did together, the homework was figuring out like what do I have to offer? Like what do I bring to the table in regards to who I am physically, but also emotionally and financially and other things that I can bring to the table that really made me kind of understand one thing that you had said, and this was more closely, I think, to the end of us working together, that you had said, women have to earn you too. And you
Mm,
bring a lot to the table, Taylor. And I had to kind of like look at that and say, you know what I do? I bring a ton to the table. And like you said, I am very fun. I'm very outgoing. I'm very confident usually in everything else and working on this part, right? But I bring a lot to the table. And I always felt like, oh my gosh, I hope they like me. What about me? I hope I like them too. And that's the
yes.
thing is they have to earn me as much as I earned them. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I got from us working together.
I love that. And I felt like there was accumulation that came where it came to that moment where you could really hear it. Because in the
Yeah.
beginning, I don't think you really were in that place to hear it yet. Like I think you had to have those experiences, with the women. And by the way, like you didn't even mention the fact that you started dating up a storm. Like all these women like
Yes.
started coming out of the woodworks, and you had some great things and happen, and we started putting them in dating buckets, and you really got to experience what dating is about without getting attached, because that was the other thing, is that you always would just kind of get sucked into the vortex of a relationship once things got hot and heavy, but then it wasn't necessarily right for you.
Yeah. I went from not wanting to date because I was on the wrong site, getting matched with the wrong people,
Right.
to wow, this is too many dates almost, right? Like to the point where I'm like, how do I handle this? And
Now what?
who, like, what do I do? Or, how is this best kind of juggled along to make sure that everybody's being taken care of respectively? And yeah, it was a little much actually. That it was almost too many dates and too many people interested.
Yeah.
So that's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
for
While you were,
sure.
I was going to say, like, while you were dating, were there some things that you learned about yourself when you were more intentional and, kind of, I don't know. I think we were able to really dissect each woman as you were dating to get you to really think about it, and slow down and say, "Hey, this is what's working. This is what's not." Like, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, like you said, I had previously been so eager that I would jump into a relationship and kind of get lost, like lose myself in that. And I really had to step back and understand, like, hey, slow down. It's okay. And understand what this person is doing for you in this relationship, as well as what you're doing for them. But for me, I had to like really put them in different buckets, like you said. Like, are they a friend fun bucket? Are they like long term material? Who are they? And then kind of rating them as far as like personality and like me and physical attraction and me and like what I want. And then also like long term viability, right? So, a few things that I would say that I learned just to kind of give you a little bullet point was one, I really started learning what I really want, like what I truly wanted versus what I thought I wanted by
Mm.
dating different women that offer different things. And I really got to start seeing like I really liked this about her, but didn't necessarily like that. And I like this about this other woman, but not that. And so kind of like piecing together more of what I wanted from maybe the ultimate partner that would come along so I can understand what I'm looking for and what really piqued my interest in moving forward with the next woman and making sure she's the right fit for me and that I earn and deserve her and vice versa.
I love that. It was so awesome, like just kind of watching you through the process. And I think that the things that we're talking about, you exemplified exactly like what happens with the different phases of dating, too. Like from the very first entry, right? The courtship stage, as they call it, like even getting dates, right? And then you got dates and you're like, now what? What do I do about it? And I
Right.
think, right, and now we're kind of entering this third phase where, hey, you can maybe get a little more picky. And if there is somebody who's kind of special and building that emotional connection with, how can you do it different this time around where it can build towards a relationship? So I mean, just within the course of these 3 months working together, like you, of course, because you're a high achiever, you did the work, right? Like that's why you're
Oh,
already at the third stage. And I think that's the other thing is that you weren't passive about this. Like you attacked it like you did your business and you really like worked on this. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
right. Yeah, just like you said, I got the homework from you and I just said, okay, I have an hour on this day to finish this homework and I'm going to
Mhm.
dig through it and see what I have to do. And I did. And it made all the difference understanding like what I bring to the table and the homework that I've done and some of the reading that you gave me to do and just understanding and really building my confidence of who I am, that I have a lot to offer, that I think switched that up. And like you said, I don't even think you and I talked about this, but more recently, there's been a few women where I've said, hey, I appreciate our connection. And I've never met them. So we're still online and kind of messaging through the app. And I said,
Uh-huh.
but I just want you to know and be transparent with you that I'm dating someone right now. And if you are open to me reaching out in the future, I would do that if this relationship doesn't go where I'd like it to go, some version of that. And both women were really cool about it. And you said, yeah, I appreciate the honesty and transparency. But getting to that point where, like you said, I can be choosy. I can choose the dates and the women that I want to go out with because I have so many different options.
Oh my God. All right. Well, you just did a little teaser with this woman you're dating, which is part of why we're talking. Is
Yeah.
here we are, like, and this is, I know it's the beginning stages, but what a success story. Like, because again, moving through the continuum of all the dating phases and really working through it. So, talk to us. Tell us about this new woman and like, where are you at?
Yeah. So we met online and,
Mhm.
what's interesting is I think one of the things you have to get really good at is messaging and like being able
Yeah.
to communicate via messages, if it's text message or the app message or whatever it is. But initially we matched and she wouldn't even like reply to my messages. And so I tried one thing and then another thing, and then I said the right thing, which is kind of like funny and slightly inappropriate. And she responded, right? Because that's what she was like. I don't want a boring guy. Anybody can text me, hey, how was your day? All that stuff. And so I got to the right message, and it was funny. And so then we started texting back and forth on the messenger, and then she gave me her phone number. And so we started kind of going back and forth there. But ultimately, kind of the overall message would be that she's a good fit for what I'm looking for, and vice versa. She feels like I'm a good fit for her. And we haven't had the discussion in regards to being totally exclusive, but we're for sure moving in that direction. And I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. And I think she is too. And we've been having a lot of fun. I met her on a Tuesday night for our first date. I asked her, I said, hey, I have this black tie event, like this really nice event on this coming Saturday, which was, a couple weeks ago. And I said, I'd like for you to come with me. And she goes, okay, that'd be great. So like our first date went so great that she agreed to go out and to a total like random fun event together. And we just had a great time, and we kind of just kept it going. And yeah, it's been really good. It's been fun. It's been connected. I think she's super attractive, and she thinks I'm super attractive too. I don't know if she's
Go
blind.
figure.
I'm just kidding. Right.
I love it. Well, wait a second, because
fun.
there's something really important about the way this started that I'd love for you to share. Because you said to me, Kimmy, like, this caught me by surprise. I wasn't that sure about her in the beginning.
That's
And
right.
yeah, so talk about that, because I think that's part of the work that you did, that you really kind of just took the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things that you and I had talked about is, even if you don't think, especially at the beginning, even if you don't think that it's going to be like this amazing, relationship, you're going to marry this person, that's not what we're doing right now. We're data dating. Like, we're just getting data to see like what you like, what you don't like. Is this person right? Is it, are they not? And, we had the date, our first date, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. And it was funny because when we met, like, we instantly had like this physical attraction. I could tell she was attracted to me and vice versa.
Right.
And then the conversation and just the connection that we had, it just kind of kept moving. And it was funny because after the date and we had talked a few more times, I asked her, I said, hey, what did you initially think of me? She goes, well, you're a lot better looking in person than you are in your pictures, which I was like, for sure I am. But she had also mentioned, she goes, I didn't really think it was going to go anywhere. I just kind of showed up because I said I would. And, I didn't have anything going on. And we like totally clicked and connected. And that's exactly how I felt. It was like, well, I'll just show up because I told her I would. And, I don't have a whole lot going on right now. But when we showed up and actually started like interacting, and we had a lot of things in common, it was just so much fun. And we both felt that way, which was, I think, pretty funny.
And that to me, I just want to also extract the fact that is also you have come so far with that, because one of the things that was happening in the beginning, is that if a girl wasn't really super highly physically attractive to you, like, I don't think you would have given her a chance, like in those beginning stages. Like, you were just like, okay, I got to be open. And you also learn to kind of lead with more of that, personal connection with her than letting the physical drive you. And I just think that, like, just that, and even no matter what happens with her, knowing that, wow, like, I don't have to rely on just that fun physical attraction, that things can build. And usually it's those kind of connections that are more meaningful and reciprocal in nature. So that was, for me, for you, huge.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And it has been almost better that it built this way.
Yeah. How is it feeling different for you? Like this one, maybe than the other ones, or even like before we start working together?
I would say a lot of the other relationships were like fast and furious. Like I would get in it and
Yes.
then like kind of date and like move and like, oh, is she the right one? Is she not the right one? Should I continue this relationship? Am I going to marry her? And really, this time I was just like, I kind of threw all that out the window and just was like, you know what? If I end up marrying her, great. If not, just as great. And I'm just going to move forward in hopes that there is something. And if there's not, that's okay too. And I just
Mm,
like it kind of just built naturally, I would say more organically versus it being trying to be forced.
yeah.
And I think that has made a lot of the difference, but I feel like we are more emotionally connected because of that versus it just being physical for both of us, which I like, and that's ultimately what I'm looking for. So I'm okay with it for sure.
Yeah, that's so no, that's amazing. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But no matter what happens with her or anybody in the future, you're just so much more present. Like I think that you
Oh,
let go of so much of that like monkey chatter in your head and worry about this and that's why I think things are happening also in a more connected way because you're really just being present with it all. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like
exciting.
I've been able to like step back from the pressure of it all, maybe,
Yes.
and just
Yeah.
kind of like enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. As cliche as that sounds, like I've just been able to step back and just enjoy each step and not have any high expectation of where that's going to lead next.
Yeah, and it's just so amazing to also be on the journey with you and have watched it. And I mean, Taylor, it's been amazing working with you, and you're such a perfect example. For so many people who, they might see this on social media or YouTube and say, "Hey, there's a good-looking, confident guy. Like, how can he have problems?" Like it just shows you, like, we all have confidence issues, and so much of it has to do with experience and the right kind of experience that gets you to the other side. And I just think you're an inspiration for anybody who's thinking about just getting a handle of this part of their life. And I was just wondering if you had any like words of wisdom or advice to people who were thinking about doing coaching or investing, and like maybe they're having a hard time taking that next step to do it. Like, what would you say to them?
I would say if you were at a spot like I was, where I just suffered, almost in silence with this lack of confidence, and I didn't really
Mm,
want to admit that to anybody because I'm so confident in other areas of my life. I just knew that if I wanted this area of my life to change, I had to do something different. And what was different was hiring you and really allowing you to guide me in the process and stepping back from my own ego that says, oh, you know the best way to do this, Taylor, and you can do this without somebody else. And yeah, I probably could have done that, except for that would have taken me a year. And I hate wasting time. And so I'm willing to get somebody like you on board to really help. And that's what I would say is if you're in a spot that you don't know what to do because of so many different reasons, right? Like this online dating thing is such a different animal. It's such a different world compared to what I experienced, 14 years ago when I was in getting into a serious relationship. That I don't know. I guess what I would say is this is if you are unsure of what to do next, get some help. Just as simple as that.
hmm hmm And that you don't have to do it on your own. And that's the thing about high achievers and people who have everything else handled in their life. They feel like they should be able to do it all, but why should you have to? Like,
Right.
just have somebody else help you, and nobody can coach themselves. Coaches need coaches. And that's what I appreciated about you, that you were just so open to the process and receiving that help. And I think inherently being able to receive also taught you a lesson, is that even just receiving as you're dating, and that letting women earn you, like there was a metaphor also for you in this process with what you're now experiencing with women. So, oh, Taylor, thank you so much for coming on. Any like parting words of wisdom that you want to share?
I would say that when you get to the level that I'm at, as far as going from almost scared to do online dating to where I'm at now, it's fun again. And it's been so much fun.
Oh,
And that has made all the difference in the world versus being scared to put myself out there and wondering what's going to happen. Is anybody going to like me? And it's like going, like you said, going through the stages of everything else that I've gone through. It's so funny. Like I look back at that guy 3 months ago, right?
uh-huh.
And I'm just like, man, come on. Like you really, that's what you thought, And now I'm like, it doesn't even phase me. Like some of the stuff that you go through, which you will all experience, right?
Yeah.
Online dating, and like doesn't even phase me. I'm just like, oh, okay, next, whatever it might be. So I would say stick through it till it becomes fun again, but you have to do the work to get yourself there.
Yes. And it's not just about online dating, it's about offline dating, it's about you,
For
right?
sure.
And
Hmm.
and that's the thing is like a lot of times you might think it's, oh, it's the women, it's the men, it's online dating, it's this and that, like all these external factors that are swirling around you. And of course they're variables, but you can't control that. All you can control are the things about you, your mindset, your approach, your perspective. And when you shift some of those things, that's when you start getting different results. And to me, that's the empowerment, right? Because that's what you
Yeah.
do have control over. And that's what you exemplified. So, Taylor, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your
Yeah.
wisdom and inspiration with everyone. I can't wait to see what happens with the lady.
Yes. I'll keep you posted.
All right. So thanks for joining me today. This has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, of course, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. Here's the thing, if you think you might need a dating plan and strategies to break your bad dating habits and patterns, then I have a surprise to share with you on something very special happening soon. If you're exhausted by the idea of dating, you don't know how to put yourself out there, you're feeling totally frumpy, you're tired of feeling alone, then grab one of the few seats to join me in my brand new 6-week journey that includes, drumroll, a in-person retreat. I am so excited about this. And I am taking a small group of women to learn how to charm your way to love and stand out and feel sexier than ever before and with a plan. And it's called Spark Your Sexy Live. So if you're curious, just click the link you see in the show notes and then hop on a call with me to explore the possibility. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.